Hey, this is Neil in one of our Capital Suites, and I wanted to give a quick tour on operations in the suites. So we have a pair of Genelec monitors. I am in one of the surround suites, so it's going to have a 5-1 surround system with the sub and the foot switch to turn the sub on or off. There is a Shure SM7b microphone. There is an SPL monitor controller, some outboard gear, the computer rack, the patch bay, the RedNet system, and an HD Omni. Typical stereo session, you'd have surround A and have the left and right speakers in. If you're doing a surround session, you'd push all these buttons in. So in this case, the sub, the 2 rear speakers, and the center speaker, and you'll need to move the monitor out of the way a little bit. Volume control, pretty basic here. Mute and dim switch, and a mono button. So the mono will then mono the rear speakers or mono the front speakers. It's a great way to make sure your mix is going to be compatible to things like on a phone, and obviously a mute button to take a quick phone call or a volume knob. Okay, there are 4 different mic pre's in here. Each of the suites has, in this case, we have an API mic pre, and we have a Neve style Portico mic pre. We have 2 different EQs here, so with this 500 rack, so you can use these. You got high and low shelving and some parametric mids, and then typically there are 2 compressors. This one's out getting repaired, the Daking, but we have a Purple style 1176 and the Daking style compressor. So how do you get those? Those are accessible here in the patch bay. The API has a mic pre right here, and then you can access the Neve through here. Then in the patch bay, you would then make the patches that you want to do. So if you look closely here, it says 511 out, which is the Portico, or 512 out, which is the API. If you wanted to go into the EQ, so I'm going to plug in my mic here in the front of the API, and you can see I've got signal as I'm tapping the microphone. So I would go out of the API, go to the compressor. So I'm going to use the Purple compressor. And then I'm going to go from the compressor, you can see here, then your Omni line ins. So then I could go into, I'll do Omni line input 4. In Pro Tools, I'll record enable my track. And you can see my signal and metering, and you can hear it through the speakers. So that's how you do that patch there. If I wanted to use one of the different EQs or try different EQs, you can just do those patches, and then you'll come into one of the Omni line inputs. Okay, that's to use that mic pre. There are also 2 mic pre's on the Omni itself. You have mic line instrument. We can plug your guitar right in there if we wanted to. Pad, high pass filter, and phantom power. The key button is this right here. So you notice when I push that down, it says P1. If I push it down, it now says P2. These are 2 R2 inputs. So I can plug in my SM7b right here. I'm on P1. And then if I come up here, I'll need to choose input 1. And then you can hear that microphone coming through the speakers. There is an insert button. What does that do? Well, that's an effects loop or an insert for the mic pre. Right now, it goes straight from the mic pre through the HD Omni to Pro Tools. But up here in the patch bay, you'll notice it says Omni send and return. I can also use this mic pre and some of that outboard gear. What I would do is hit the insert button. Then I'm on P1, so I'm using insert 1, and I could go use the Purple compressor, out of the Purple compressor, back here, and make sure my Purple compressor is not in bypass, and you can see it's triggering here as I talk, and I haven't changed my input in Pro Tools because I'm still using the HD Omni mic pre, which is on 1, and there is that signal now. When you are done, and you unplug your patch cables, you really do need to make sure you hit the insert button. Conversely, if you're not getting sound, it might be because the insert is in and you're not patched anywhere. That is a really common issue on certain mic pre's that we have, is the insert button gets turned on and there's no signal. So you'll notice as I'm up here and there's signal, I'm going to hit the insert button is hit, and you'll notice the signal is cut because the insert button is lit. If I undo that, it's now no longer lit. The insert is not in the loop, and there's my signal back up here. So that might be a troubleshooting issue. Another troubleshooting issue is you're set to the wrong output mode, so make sure all of these buttons are out. The other thing that may happen is the Euphonics control surface may not be working. The Euphonics app is set to launch when you log into the studio user account. It should be running in the background. If this is not working and it looks like this, you might want to make sure that the power button is on. So when you power on, you should get some pretty colored light. So that may be an issue. So simply turning it on may fix the problem. Or you may need to come into Pro Tools and go under Setup, Peripherals, go to the Ethernet Controllers tab and make sure Enable Eucon is checked. If that is not checked for some reason, then the Eucon controller itself will not show up, and you can see it's there. So I will mute that. The speakers have an auto power, so if they've not received audio for a while, they will shut off automatically. You can see with the green light, they are powered right now. That is the power switch. The dot should be in the up position. Leave them on, but for some reason, you walk in and you notice that they're turned off. You can turn them on. Playing audio through your session will usually trigger the speaker to turn itself on. Also, there is a volume control. Those should be all the way up at 100%. For some reason, you're not getting audio and the green light's on and this is controller set correct. You may just double check that that's turned on. I've found that more than once. When you are done, we suggest leaving the keyboards open as you leave because it'll help charge the keyboards, which are solar powered, through the lights. The lights will turn themselves off automatically, but go ahead and leave the keyboard out and it'll get another few minutes of charge and should be good to go when you're working. Hope that helps.